Good afternoon from Dooley Health and Care Field in Joliet, Illinois, the home of the University of St. Francis Fighting Saints. We're set for the home opener for Fighting Saints baseball this year as they take on their rivals from Romeoville right down the road, the Flyers of Lewis University. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call today as the Saints take their final warm-up tosses and get set to get moving in this game. St. Francis, the home team in white, Lewis, the visiting team in black. And Michael Alt, the center fielder, stands into the batter's box to get us started for today's game. To get the season started for Lewis, Alt takes strike one, and we are underway. Alt, the center fielder, leads things off against Quinn McGuire for the University of St. Francis. McGuire, a sophomore right-hander, making his first start of the season. He misses up and away for ball one. It's the first game of the year for Lewis. St. Francis has already taken the field 8 times prior to today. They come in with a record of 5-3 as Alt pops this one up shallow left field. Long run in for Vera towards the line. He slides and can't come up with it. The ball drops in for a base hit, and Alt pulls up at second base. It's a leadoff double. A softly hit double for Alt as he just popped it up down the left field line. But Vera couldn't quite reach it. Despite putting together a valiant effort, Brian Hidalgo chased it out from the shortstop's position. And Hidalgo never really had a chance to get there. It was Vera or nobody. And it turned out to be nobody. Vera got his glove on it, but Alt, never slowing down, pulled into second base easily with a leadoff double. That brings up Thomas Fox, the second baseman and number 2 hitter. Fox, the right-handed batter, tries to check his swing on the first pitch. Whether he went or not doesn't really matter. It was in the zone. And the count is 0-1 as McGuire starts his second consecutive hitter off with a strike. McGuire has appeared on the mound a couple of times already this year. As Fox pops this one up foul to the right side. That's out of play. 0-2. Both times he's pitched have been out of the bullpen, and he's been awfully effective. 4 innings pitched. He hasn't given up a run. Just 2 hits so far this year. He has walked 3. His only concern so far this season, but he's struck out 6 through those 4 shutout innings pitched. Today he'll get a chance, most likely, to go a little bit deeper into the game, getting the start against Lewis in this non-conference battle. Ball outside, 1-2. Second straight year that Lewis has come out here early in the season. Last year, first week of March, they played 2 games here, both of them won by St. Francis. Pickoff attempt to second base, and Alt dives back to the bag safely. Still 1-2 on Fox, with nobody out in the top of the first inning. Traditionally, these two have played each other every season. The last couple of years, they've done it early, as opposed to late in the year. Ball low and inside. 2-2 on Fox. By and large, Lewis has dominated the rivalry. They had lost only 1 game over more than 10 years until last season when St. Francis took them both. And again, those were both early in the year. Fox hits it in the air out to deep left field. Vera has a long way to go back to the warning track, and it's gone. So for Lewis, it takes them just 2 batters into the season to pick up their first home run. And they are off to a big start today against Quinn McGuire, a double and a homer from the first 2 batters. And we're just underway already, 2-0. The Flyers are on top of the Saints. A bloop double for Alt. Nothing cheap about that one from Fox. So he skies it over the left field fence. And that'll bring Blazevich to the plate with nobody out and nobody on. Jack Blazevich, the shortstop, hitting third, swings at the first pitch and skies it out to center field. It's playable for Luke Ketchum. He comes in and makes the grab. 1 away. It's a nice recovery right there from Quinn McGuire after giving up the 2-run homer. To be able to get an out on just 1 pitch should hopefully help to settle him down a little bit. It brings the first baseman Kevin Berry to the plate. Berry takes the first one up high, ball 1. Berry, the cleanup man, getting his first at bat of the season, as everybody is today for Lewis. He gets that ball hard, but way in front of it, fouled off to the right side, 1-1. First batter in this inning that McGuire has fallen behind through first pitch strikes to each of the first three batters. It was 1-0 on Barry, but the count is evened up. McGuire looks to pull ahead here. He can't do so. Ball low and away, 2-1 the count. Fighting Saints are coming off of a season in which they went 30-27 during the 2022 campaign. That was despite a sluggish start, up and in, nearly hit him. But Barry's able to get out of the way. The count is 3-1. Kind of customary for the Fighting Saints and a lot of teams in the area to get off to slow starts. So that ball's popped into shallow center. Hidalgo backs up. The shortstop makes the grab. 2 away. Back-to-back outs after the first two hitters reached and scored. And now McGuire can put an end to the inning if he retires his third consecutive batter. It's the designated hitter Chris McDevitt's turn to hit. McDevitt bats for the first time. 2 outs, base is empty. And the first pitch he sees misses low and in for ball 1. Everybody who plays their college ball in the Midwest is going to be at a natural disadvantage. St. Francis started this year as they usually do, going on the road to some southern tournaments. Ball low, 2-0. Those are difficult events to win in. You can get off to a bad start. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a bad season, and that's been the case for St. Francis the last 2 years. They finished with winning records both seasons, despite starting well under 500 in the month of February. Strike called, 2-1. So this year, the fact that they're already at a quick advantage, having won 5 of their first 8 games, puts them in really good shape as we bear down in conference play. That ball into the air, shallow left. Vera tracks it in. Jake Vera gets to the spot and drops the ball. Heading to second, the throw comes in not in time. McDevitt is on base via the 2-base error. Second time this inning that Jake Vera has gotten his glove on the ball and been unable to make the catch. The first batter, Michael Alt, hit a pop-up to shallow left. That was a really difficult play for Vera, so even though he did get his glove on it, I don't think anybody would blame him for not making the catch. He only hit it on the dive. This time, though, that's as routine as any fly ball ever will be. I don't know if Vera just took his eye off the ball, if he lost it at the last instant in the sun, or if he just didn't put the squeeze on, but an error keeps the inning alive, and Jason Kroll steps in, fouling off the first pitch for strike 1. 3 of the first 5 batters have reached for Lewis, and they've all gotten to second base or better. A double, a homer, and now a 2-bag error. Here's the 0-1. That's popped up. Shallow right field this time, and playable for Max Montgomery. The right fielder comes in and makes the catch to end the inning. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error, 1 left, and in that order. And we'll head to the bottom of the first inning. St. Francis will come to bat for the first time, trailing 2-0. Bottom of the first inning coming up. St. Francis will bat for the first time against Dalton Crowder. Fighting Saints are chasing a 2-0 deficit already today. Dalton Crowder, of course, makes his first start of the season, first game of the year for Lewis. He's a pitcher slash outfielder, a senior from Plainfield, Illinois. He attended Plainfield East High School. And here is the lineup he'll be facing today for St. Francis and their manager, Brian Mahalik. Leading things off is left fielder Jake Vera. He's followed by center fielder Luke Ketchum. Eric Maffey bats third and plays first base. Jake Lasota. John McGuire bats fifth at second base. Brian Hidalgo plays shortstop and hits sixth. Hector Carrillo is the third baseman. Josh Kernbauer bats eighth, the designated hitter. And hitting ninth is right fielder Max Montgomery. Dalton Crowder's first pitch of the 2023 campaign misses outside, and it's 1-0 on Jake Vera. Vera's off to a great offensive start to this season, hitting .357 so far with a homer and 4 runs batted in. He takes a fastball outside, and it's 2-0 from Crowder. Vera had a rough defensive first inning, specifically the error that kept the inning alive on a 2-out pop-up. So he's trying to get some redemption at the plate here as he fouls it off to the left side, out of play, 2-1. Vera, Ketchum, and Maffey are the first 3 hitters in the lineup today for St. Francis. All of them will bat here in the first inning, a very veteran squad to lead things off. Jake Vera awaits the 1-1, and he swings and misses. Strike 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes, actually, the count now. We'll see a 5th pitch from Crowder. Jake Vera is a senior, transfer from Kankakee Community College. He grounds it to the left side, scooped up by the shortstop Blazevich. The throw to first is in time, 1 away. First time we've seen anybody hit the ball on the ground today. All 6 hitters that came up for Lewis in the first inning hit it in the air, with 3 of them reaching base and 3 of them flying out. Here's Luke Ketchum. Jake Vera, a senior, hits in the leadoff spot. After that, you got some super seniors with Ketchum and Maffey and Lasota. Fouled back off the screen behind home plate. Strike 1 on Luke Ketchum. A lot of guys taking advantage of their extra year of eligibility. You have to go all the way down to number 5 in the batting order before you even get to a junior in this St. Francis lineup as Ketchum swings and misses 0-2. And that's undoubtedly part of the reason for their hot start, having won 5 of their first 8 games. 0-2 pitch in the dirt, ball 1. Not just that they've brought back a lot of veteran players, but they brought back some good veteran talent. Ketchum is coming off of a really strong season last year, and he's off to a great start again this year, hitting better than .400, one of a couple of regulars hitting over .400 this year as he chops it foul, still 1-2. St. Francis as a team has a batting average of better than .300. There are 4 guys in today's lineup who are hitting .400 or better, but 2 of them, Ketchum and Maffey, have started every game, which makes that number even more impressive. Ball low and away, 2-2. Crowder so far has been unable to put away Luke Ketchum after starting him off with no balls and 2 strikes. There will be a 6th pitch in this at-bat. Righty versus righty. Crowder pitches out of the stretch, and he misses the outside corner, ball 3. A very dangerous Eric Maffey waits in the on-deck circle. So it's a big 3-2 pitch here. Lewis already leading 2-0. Crowder wants to put a big 0 up on the scoreboard after his offense backed him up to start the game. But he misses low and away, and we've got the game's first free base runner. Luke Ketchum works his way back from 0-2 and draws the 1-out walk. 7-pitch sequence there. And with a runner at first base and 1 out, Eric Maffey bats for the first time today. Maffey has been sensational this year, .429 batting average. He is slugging better than 1,000. 5 doubles, 4 homers, 11 RBIs. And he's nearly hit on the first pitch from Crowder, who's been wild so far today. Ball 1. 7 balls thrown so far by Crowder. Only 6 strikes among his first 13 pitches. One-zero pitch. Swung on and lifted down the right field line. George Bilecki chases it into foul ground and runs out of room as that ball lands up on the concourse. Count is even, 1 ball, 1 strike. Eric Maffey's numbers this year have been really impressive. 12 hits and 28 at-bats. 9 of his 12 hits have gone for extra bases. He's scored 13 runs already. Throw over to first base, and Ketchum dives back to the bag safely. Maffey's got a .543 on-base percentage. He's walked more often than he's struck out. So he's been pretty close to a perfect offensive play over the season's first week plus, 8 games in. 1-1 is a check swing on a ball taken down low. 2 balls and a strike on Maffey. And at this point, Dalton Crowder is falling behind everybody. Trying to settle in with a strike on Maffey. 2-1 the count. Ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. Crowder has already walked 1 this inning. Jake Lasota is in the on-deck circle. He's licking his lips right now at the prospect of batting with a couple of men on base. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks. Put him at first and second with 1 down. And a good RBI chance for Lasota. That's the 8th time this year that Eric Maffey has walked in just 37 plate appearances. Make that 36 plate appearances. So even if you take out all of his hits, his walks have been enough to give him pretty decent total, good on base percentage, but throw 12 hits in there as well. He's been unstoppable. Jake Lasota's hitting .250. He's driven in 3 runs so far this year. Good chance right now to drive in at least 1 more. That is if Crowder can throw him strikes, which he does on the first pitch. He's walked the last 2 batters successively. He's thrown more balls than strikes in the inning. Strike called, 0-2. Second time he's gotten ahead of it here, 0-2 in this first inning. The last one, Luke Ketchum, came back to draw the walk. He stands at second base right now. Maffey's the one at first. It's been a very long inning for Dalton Crowder, but so far no runs have scored. Breaking ball over the inside corner. That's a called third strike, and Jake Lasota goes down looking unhappily. And a few words with the umpire on the way out. He is out number 2, first strikeout victim for either pitcher today. And it's up to John McGuire if the Fighting Saints are going to get a run in here. They had him at first and second with only 1 out. They're still there now with 2 down. And the first pitch to number 11, McGuire, is in the dirt, ball 1. It's got to be frustrating to be Jake Lasota right now. Everybody's seeing ball 1, ball 2. He struck out on 3 pitches, never had a chance to build a hitter's count. One-zero pitch from Crowder. Hard grounder right at the third baseman. Tony Fleischauer scoops it up and steps on the bag to end the inning. 5 unassisted on the fielder's choice. And the Fighting Saints don't score. They're not able to answer Lewis's 2-run top half of the first. No hits, couple of walks, and Ketchum and Maffey are left on base. We'll head to the second. 2-0 Flyers on top. Bottom of the order coming up for Lewis in the top of the second inning. They had a very productive first inning as Thomas Fox launched a 2-run homer over the left field fence to get the scoring started. They'll look to add to their lead here in the second as Fleischauer takes ball one outside. Tony Fleischauer, the third baseman, makes his first appearance in the batter's box. Takes ball 2 high from Quinn McGuire. McGuire didn't look bad in the first inning. He did give up 2 runs, but only one hard hit ball. Outside, 3-0. And this is something that was not a problem for him in the first inning. He threw seemingly nothing but strikes. This is a guy who has had some control issues over the course of the young season, and they continue into the second inning today as he walks Fleischauer on 4 pitches. Leadoff man reaches for the second straight inning for Lewis, and that brings up George Bilecki. In that first inning, Lewis scored 2 runs, but the Fox homer was the only really good swing. Their other base runners came on a pop-up that dropped in just the right spot for a bloop double. And then an error on what appeared to be a routine play. Everything in the air in the first inning against the sophomore lefty. This ball is popped into the air as well. Foul territory left side over to the Lewis dugout and into the dugout. No room there for Carrillo to make the catch. Strike 1 on Bilecki. George Bilecki is a freshman from the south side of Chicago. He attended Marist High School and is making his collegiate debut today, batting in the 8th spot for Michael Vusko this year. Trying to advance this runner from first base with nobody out. The 0-1 pitch. Misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Twelve of 20 pitches were strikes in the first inning for McGuire, who misses outside. 6 out of his first 7 this inning have been outside the zone. So overall for the game, he's thrown 13 strikes and 14 balls. Again, most of the problems started here in the second as he fires one over to Bilecki to even the count 2-2. Kane Hedrick is in the on-deck circle. And then it's back to the top of the order. The bottom is going to be big here for McGuire. Flipped foul to the left side, out of play, still 2-2. Those guys at the top have already dealt him a few headaches. He's got to get through Bilecki and Hedrick here to make sure that he's not facing those top guys with men on and potentially with men already in. 2-2. It misses low, ball 3. Flyers are waiting out McGuire a little bit more here in the second inning. They've been very patient in the box. And it sets up a payoff pitch to the number 8 batter. George Bilecki takes ball 4 outside. We saw Dalton Crowder issue back-to-back walks in the bottom of the first inning. And now Quinn McGuire has done the same thing here in the top of the second, so both pitchers are having major control issues today. And before Kane Hedrick bats, McGuire will get a visit on the mound. So far this inning, he's thrown 8 balls compared to 3 strikes. And he's just about even for the game. 16 balls, 15 strikes among his first 31 pitches. So the entire infield gathers to talk strategy on the mound right now. You would think that they'd be expecting Hedrick to be bunting here. Kind of a stereotypical bunting situation. First and second, nobody out. Number 9 hitter in the batter's box. So we'll see if that is indeed what Lewis has in mind here. Trying to get Fleischauer over to third and Bilecki to second. Kane Hedrick is the number 9 hitter. Sophomore from Custer Park, Illinois. Attended Providence Catholic High School. Hedrick swings at the first pitch and foul tips it into the catcher's glove for strike 1. So very aggressive against a pitcher who's just walked the last two. After the pitching mound visit, probably figured that McGuire was going to challenge him early. He did, but took a little bit off of it. Hedrick was out in front. This time slightly behind as he fouls it to the right side. Strike two. So whatever was said on the mound during that meeting seems to have worked, at least in the short term. Back-to-back strikes on Hedrick. He hasn't gotten a ground ball yet, but McGuire could use one here. He gets that ground ball to third base, picked up by Carrillo, throws to second for the force, over to first base. That's not in time to turn two. It'll go as 5-4 on the fielder's choice. Bielecki is retired on the play. Fleischauer did advance to third with one down. Hedrick is safe at first. So it's still 2 on, but this time 1 out. And of the 2 men on base, one of them has made it to third. So they're at the corners here, top of the order. Michael Alt steps in for the second time. And he takes a fastball high and tight, 1-0. Michael Alt started the game today with a bloop double out to left field. Later coming in to score on the Fox home run. So he takes ball 2 outside, 2-0. So productive day so far for him. 1 for 1, a double, a run scored. 2-0 Lewis leads. We're still just in the top of the second inning and only 1 out. A lot of base runners already in this game. We've seen 7 of them total between the two teams in just an inning and a half. Not even an inning and a half. Alt takes ball 3. So after the mound visit, McGuire seemed to settle in. He got Hedrick on 3 straight strikes. There's a strike right down the middle. He's been all over the place so far in this Alt at bat. That last one found its spot. 3-1 the count. There's a swing and a pop-up left side foul and onto the berm down the left field line. It'll be tracked down by somebody if they want it. Not a lot of fans in attendance today. Probably single-digit totals. It's not what you would think of as a baseball day. Temperature in the mid-30s here in Joliet today. The sun was out at the beginning of the game. It's gone now, and we may see it pop in and out as time goes on as that ball's fouled back. Still 3-2. But by the end of tonight's game, as far as the forecast is concerned, we're going to have some dark clouds rolling in. We may get a little rain and snow later, although that shouldn't be until after this game is over. Another 3-2. Flipped into shallow left. Vera takes one step back on it and makes the catch. The runners stay put. Throw gets away from the cutoff man a little bit. But Carrillo's able to track it down, keep everybody where they're at. 2 outs. Big second out there for Quinn McGuire after he had fallen behind Michael Alt 3-0. It looked like he was about to load the bases. Instead, they're at the corners, and he's 1 out away from getting out of the inning. Easier said than done. Big batter in the box fouls away the first pitch, strike 1. That's Thomas Fox. Fox hit a 2-run homer in the first inning. Only 2 runs to have crossed the plate so far. This time he drills it, but right at the shortstop. Brian Hidalgo is there to make the catch. The inning is over. No runs, no hits, no errors. And 2 men left on base as we go to the bottom of the second. Our score is 2-0 Lewis. Bottom of the second inning, 3-0. Lewis leads. They got a 2-run homer in the top of the first, and then a sac fly in the top of the second inning to add to the lead. Hidalgo fouls off the first pitch for strike one. Brian Hidalgo, sophomore infielder, transferred in from Allen County Community College. He's been a part-time player to start this season. Strike one pitch misses low and away for ball one to even the count. This is his fifth start in 9 games played by the team. He's looked good, 5 for 12. Couple of extra base hits, 6 RBIs as he fouls this one off, 1-2. Dalton Crowder started for Lewis, and he pitched 1 inning, and now they've got Colin Amsden out there. Crowder is a senior who primarily is an outfielder. That ball is in the dirt. 2-2. Now we get a look at a freshman who is primarily a pitcher, but hasn't had the chance to do it at the collegiate level yet. From Oak Forest, Illinois. He also attended Marist. Second recent Marist grad that we've already seen in the game for Lewis today as Hidalgo fouls one off. Still 2-2. So it's the college debut for Colin Amsden. So far so good for him. He's throwing hard. He's throwing strikes. But Hidalgo has kept the at-bat alive. 2-2. Sixth pitch coming up. And it's lifted out to center field. Well struck, but it's playable as Michael Alt backs up and makes the grab. 1 up, 1 down in the second inning. That brings up Hector Carrillo. Senior transfer from Pittsburgh State University out in California. He's originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He has not played much this year for St. Francis, but when he's been out there, he's been excellent as he takes ball 1 outside. 5 for 7 at the plate. 2 of his 5 hits have been doubles, and he's driven in 3 runs. So a lot of production in not a lot of time out there. Swing and a miss here. Count is even at 1-1. 1 inning of work today for Dalton Crowder. He did not allow a run nor a hit. He walked 2 and struck out 1. No decision for him today after he pitched just 1 inning. A slow roller to second base. Tough play Thomas Fox. He waits back on it, throws over to first in time for out number 2. Well played by Fox. That was difficult for him in that he had to determine how he wanted to play it. He waited back and kept himself in front of the ball. He had enough time to do that. If it had been a little bit of a speedier runner, he may have had to charge and barehand it, but he ended up making the play exactly the way he needed to record the second out of the inning. That's 4 straight Saints who have been retired overall now since those back-to-back walks in the first inning. And Josh Kernbauer will try to snap that trend. He takes a strike, 0-1. Ball outside, 1-1. Josh Kernbauer is starting his 5th game this year. He's 4 for 13. That's a .308 batting average. Sharp grounder right at the shortstop. Blazevich down to one knee, grabs it, throws to first, and ends the inning. Nice debut for Colin Amsden as he sets the side down in order and does so pretty quickly on just 12 pitches. We'll head to the top of the third inning. Our score is Lewis 3, St. Francis 0. Top of the third inning, a new pitcher on the mound for St. Francis. Sean Mahalik makes his team-leading fourth appearance this year. No record, a .450 ERA. In 6 innings, he's allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. The junior will face the 3, 4, and 5 batters for Lewis. And the first pitch misses low, ball 1. Jack Blazevich is the batter. He flew out to center field his first time up. Popped up behind home plate and out of play. Strike 1. Quinn McGuire started for the Fighting Saints. He allowed 3 runs over 2 innings. Problem in the first inning was just 1 swing of the bat. A big 2-run homer for Thomas Fox. This ball is popped into shallow center. Playable for one of the middle infielders. It's the shortstop Hidalgo making the call right in the vicinity of second base and making the grab for out number 1. Kept both feet on the infield dirt as he grabbed the first out of the inning. And a good start for Sean Mahalik. McGuire's problem in the second inning was control. He walked the first 2 batters. He retired the next 3 in a row, but Lewis did a good job manufacturing a run. They got a ground out to advance the runner to third and then a fly out to score him. Ball 1 outside on Kevin Berry. So overall numbers for McGuire today: 2 innings. He allowed 3 runs, all of them earned on 2 hits. A little fister to the left side, a roller to third base, picked up and thrown over to first by Carrillo in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down against Mahalik. McGuire went 2 innings. He allowed 3 runs, all earned on 2 hits, 2 walks, no strikeouts. Everything through the air. That Berry ground out is the first ground ball hit today by Lewis. Their first 12 batters either hit it in the air or walked. Five straight flyers have been retired. Mahalik's gotten 2 outs on just 5 pitches so far this inning, but he misses inside for ball 1 on Chris McDevitt. So he's been efficient in this first inning of work, third inning of the game, but he's fallen behind everybody. Ball inside, 2-0. He's thrown a first pitch ball to each of the first 3 hitters. Has thrown 4 of 7 pitches out of the zone. That clips the inside corner just in the zone. And the count is 2-1. Chris McDevitt is the designated hitter today. He reached on an error his first time up as he waves and misses. Strike 2. Lifted into shallow left. Vera comes on, slides, and he makes the catch on his knees. It was interesting. He slid well before the ball came in and just used the different perspective to make the grab. So nice work by Mahalik. 1, 2, 3 go the Flyers in the third as we make our way to the bottom of the inning. The visiting side leads 3-0. Top of the third, rather bottom of the third inning. St. Francis is trying to break out of their offensive doldrums so far through 2 innings. They've not yet reached on a hit. Trying to change that with a bunt popped up behind home plate, and it's a foul ball. 0-1 on Max Montgomery. I think the old debate about whether or not it's okay to bunt on a no-hitter is it's okay to do it if it's the third inning and also if it's the second pitcher of the game. So I guess I'm just creating a debate with myself here. No problem with Montgomery bunting there. The problem was the bunt itself popped up and behind home plate. We'll look to straighten it out on 0-1. He does straighten it out on the ground, but right at the second baseman. Thomas Fox tosses over to first, 1 away. Good work so far from Colin Amsden, the freshman right-hander, making his collegiate debut. He's faced 4 batters and retired all of them. Going back to the first inning, and starting pitcher Dalton Crowder, 6 consecutive batters have been retired. In fact, nobody's reached for either team in a while. Not since there was 1 out in the second inning, the top of the second. Swing and a miss from Jake Vera for strike 1. Vera bats for the second time today. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out. Actually, the last man to reach was with nobody out in the top of the second. Vera takes ball 1 outside. The last 6 Flyers have been retired, and the last 6 Saints have been retired. Ball in the dirt, 2-1. Combined totals for these 2 teams so far, we've seen 2 hits and 4 walks, plus 1 error, so there have been 7 base runners between them. It was an action-packed first inning, and now Vera floats it into shallow left field, and the Saints have their first hit of the game as it drops just out of the reach of the shortstop, Jack Blazevich. Vera is aboard, first time today. 1-out man on first for the Fighting Saints. Good effort from Jack Blazevich. Chasing it out to left field. He stretched out at the last instant, and it was out of his reach by inches. 1 out, 1 on. Here's Luke Ketchum. It's a soft hit, but Fighting Saints will take it any way they can. It's 2 of the 3 hits in this game that have been very soft. The other was a home run. Ketchum takes ball 1 outside. Luke Ketchum is one of 3 men to have reached for the Fighting Saints today. He drew a walk back in the first inning. It seemed like the Saints had Lewis on the ropes, and their pitcher Dalton Crowder. Pickoff throw to first is a little bit low, dug out by Kevin Berry as Vera gets back to first base safely. 1-0 on Ketchum. Ball outside, 2-0. Crowder got off to a rough start control-wise. He fell behind Jake Vera, but came back to get him on a ground out. Then he walked Ketchum, walked Maffey. Seemed like he was in early trouble. Ground ball just inside the third base line. That's a fair ball for Ketchum, and out of the reach of the diving third baseman Tony Fleischauer. A double for Ketchum as Vera heads to third base. And now the Fighting Saints are cooking here in the third inning. Runners at second and third, and only 1 out for Eric Maffey. So this is all it took to start getting that offense rolling. Just get the big hitters up there again. Top 3 batters, Vera, Ketchum, and Maffey now have combined to reach base in 4 of 5 plate appearances. And that includes Maffey, who walked his first time up. He bats for a second time now. Already the team's leader with 11 RBIs. Ground ball to the left side. Diving play by the shortstop Blazevich. He throws to third, and it's not in time. So everybody's safe. A run is in, and the Fighting Saints are on the board. They trail 3-1. It's an infield single for Eric Maffey. Ketchum advances to third base on the play. Blazevich made a nice diving stop. He didn't stick the ball cleanly in his glove. If he had, he probably could have gotten the out at third base. I don't know that he ever had a play at first. Even if he gloved that ball cleanly on the dive to get to his feet and throw across the diamond, might not have been in enough time to catch Maffey. Jake Lasota swings and misses for strike 1. Maffey picks up his 12th RBI this year. Swing and a miss, it's 0-2. 12 RBIs in just 9 games played for Maffey. There are runners at the corners with only 1 out. 0-2 on Lesota, who has not yet seen a pitch outside the zone. He struck out on 3 pitches in the first inning, went down looking. Runner on the move, the pitch is low and away for a ball, and Maffey stands up at second base with a steal. Picked a good one to run on, as that ball got away from Colin Amsden a little bit. Trying to get Jake Lesota to extend the strike zone. The count is 1-2, and now 2 men in scoring position. Lesota hits it into center field in the air and down for a base hit in front of Michael Alt. 1 run is in. Maffey tries to score as well. The throw comes in. It's in time. The tag is there. And Eric Maffey is out at the plate. Jake Lesota takes second base on the throw home. It's an RBI single. And the Saints cut the deficit to just 1. It's now 3-2 Lewis. And another man in scoring position. But the Flyers get an all-important out on the play. Big throw from the center fielder, Michael Alt. Maffey read the ball pretty well. He hesitated for just a brief moment and then recognized the ball was going to drop. Took off. Brian Mahalik all the way was waving him home, and Maffey was out by a lot. Ball inside, 1-0 off the glove of Jason Kroll, but he's able to keep it near him. Runner stays put, 1-0 on McGuire. So Jake Lesota does get credit for an RBI. He does not get credit for a double. He advanced to second base on the throw. Sharp grounder left side. That's through the hole for a hit. Lesota's being waved around. They're going to test the arm of Kane Hedrick. And the throw from Hedrick is up the first base line. Down to second base. McGuire is out. The run did score. Second time this inning that St. Francis has had somebody thrown out on the base paths. Nicely done by Jason Kroll to throw McGuire out at second base. But the run counts. It's an RBI single for John McGuire. And the Saints have come back to tie the score. 3 runs in the inning on 5 consecutive hits. And we'll head to the 4th. 3-3 is our score. Nice recovery for St. Francis. They trailed 3-0, but came back with 5 consecutive hits in the bottom of the 3rd. We've got a new ball game as we begin the 4th inning. 6, 7, and 8 due up for the Flyers. That starts with their catcher Jason Kroll, who takes ball 1 on a breaker inside from Sean Mahalik. Mahalik came on in the 3rd inning. Got through the heart of the order, 1, 2, 3. He did so on just 10 pitches. There's a chopper to the left side. Tough play for the shortstop. Picked up on a couple of bounces by Hidalgo. The throw to first is just in time. Kroll out at first base by half a step. He thought he had beaten it on a very softly hit ball. Hidalgo couldn't have played it much better than he did. And with the catcher running down the line, he was just barely able to get him. So another quick out for Mahalik. And now he faces Fleischauer for the first time. Swing and a miss, 0-1. We had a long stretch with no offense. 12 consecutive batters overall between the two teams were retired. Ball high, 1-1. And then all of a sudden, the Fighting Saints started a completely different streak. They ended the bottom of the third inning with 5 consecutive hits, which is something you don't see happen very often. Ball upstairs, 2-1. Getting 5 straight hits to begin with is impressive, but you very rarely see anybody end an inning with 5 straight hits. That's hard to do, and not in a good way this time. Blooped foul to the left and into the seats. 2-2. Not a lot of fans in the crowd today, but with it being a 35-degree February afternoon, it's not surprising. There are just a few spectators scattered throughout. Drilled into center field right at Luke Ketchum, who makes the grab. 2 down. That was one of the harder hit balls of the game for Lewis. Probably the hardest, actually, outside of the home run from Fox. Fleischauer got it right on the screws, but hit it right at the center fielder. Ketchum barely had to move on the play. 2 up, 2 down in the fourth. Here's George Bielecki. Bielecki is the last player to reach base in this game for Lewis. 8 consecutive have been retired since then. He flies it into right field deep. Backing up to the warning track, Montgomery makes the catch. Just 1 step shy of that track. And it's another 1-2-3 inning. 6 up, 6 down against Mahalik. 9 straight Flyers have been retired overall. And the Fighting Saints have the momentum here as we head to the bottom of the fourth. They'll try to break a 3-3 tie. Three we're tied as we move into the bottom of the fourth inning. First game of the year for the Lewis Flyers. Game number 9 for the Fighting Saints of St. Francis, but their first played at home. Their first in the state of Illinois, first in the Midwest. Their first 8 were played down in warmer climates. Now they take on Lewis today, and they've clawed their way back from a 3-run deficit to tie it up. Brian Hidalgo takes ball 1 outside from a new pitcher. Third of the game for the Flyers. This one is the sophomore right-hander Kyle Hussey. Hidalgo pops it foul to the right side and over the dugout of St. Francis, out of play. 1-1. The Fighting Saints occupy that first base dugout. They've switched it over. I think last year was their first year in the first base dugout. They had been in the third base side for a lot of years prior to that. Inside, did that clip his leg? Looks like it did. Hidalgo is aboard. He becomes the 6th consecutive Fighting Saint to reach base. And the leadoff man is on in the fourth. It's an interesting dynamic. I was talking about it last inning. The Fighting Saints had that rare distinction of ending the inning with 5 consecutive base runners. Single, double, single, 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 but 2 of those singles resulted in guys getting thrown out on the base paths. Strike 1 on Hector Carrillo, who is looking to bunt Hidalgo over. Seems like at the last instant he tried to get the bat back, but he was a little bit too late. Count is 0-1. Carrillo 5 for 8 on the season. His batting average has dipped to unseemly sights as he takes ball 1 outside. It was 7-14 coming into today's game, and now it's down to a paltry 625. The average has fallen almost 100 points after 1 ground out. Starting pitcher in today's game lasted just 1 inning. That was Dalton Crowder. He was only expected to go 1 inning, so it's not as though he was pulled for poor performance. Michael Vusko is working out a lot of different guys here in the first game of the season, a non-conference matchup. So he got Crowder on the mound for 1 inning, and then you got to look at his freshman for 2, Colin Amsden. That ball bounces in and gets away from the catcher Kroll. Hidalgo advances to second base on the wild pitch. Ball 2 to Carrillo. It's 2-1. Mixed reviews on Amsden in his collegiate debut. 1 really good inning, and 1 not so good inning. Ball inside, 3-1. The overall numbers, 2 innings pitched. He allowed 3 runs, all of them earned on 5 hits, no walks, no strikeouts for Amsden today. And now it's Hussey. Fly ball into straightaway center field. Now drifting into right center is Alt. He makes the catch. Hidalgo tags from second but elects not to advance. So a productive out for Lewis as Carrillo's retired on a 3-1 pitch for the first out of the inning. That snaps the string of 6 straight men reaching base for the Fighting Saints. And it'll be up to Josh Kernbauer to try to get this train moving again. Kernbauer's 0 for 1. He grounded out to the shortstop in the second inning. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Lewis scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second. They haven't gotten a base runner since then. Their last 9 batters have been retired in order. Kernbauer fouls it back, 0-2. St. Francis got all 3 of their runs in the bottom of the third to tie the score. And then here in the fourth, had a chance with the go-ahead run in scoring position and nobody out. He's still in scoring position, but 1 out now as Kernbauer takes a ball outside. It's 1-2. And if Kernbauer can't get him in from second base, the responsibility will belong to Max Montgomery. Ground ball up the middle. Blazevich dives and can't come up with it. It's a base hit into center field for Kernbauer, and Hidalgo crosses the plate without a throw. RBI single for Josh Kernbauer. And for the first time today, St. Francis holds the lead. It's 4-3. RBI number 4 this season for Kernbauer. And the Fighting Saints do just keep on rolling along. First time through the order, they didn't get a hit. Second time through the order, they've gotten 6 hits. And a chance for number 7 right here. Max Montgomery, the number 9 batter, comes up for the second time today and takes ball 1 outside. This game had a decidedly different feel to it about 20 minutes ago. Lewis seemed to be in total control. Hard grounder left side. Blazevich makes a diving stop but has no play. It's an infield single for Montgomery. So indeed 7 players came up with hits the second time through the batting order. Montgomery's infield single moves Kernbauer up to second base. 2 on, only 1 out. And now a very difficult top of the order coming up for St. Francis. These first 3 hitters, Vera, Ketchum, and Maffey, have gone a combined 3 for 4 with 2 walks in today's game. And they all have big numbers for the season as well. A right-hander has begun to throw down the left field line. He's wearing a sweatshirt over his jersey, so I can't get you a number just yet. But a very long talk on the mound right now in order to give him some extra time to heat up. As Hussey, the third pitcher of the game for Lewis, struggles through this fourth inning. He hit the first batter, Hidalgo, and then he got Carrillo to fly out to center field, but both Kernbauer and Montgomery have hit sharp singles on the ground. And that seems to be a good percentage of the Saints' hits so far today. Sharp singles on the ground, mostly either up the middle or to the left side, because Blazevich has been diving all over the place. And so far he has not been able to make a diving play. It hasn't been for lack of effort. He's gone to his right, he's gone to his left. Everything seems to be hitting his area. Ball one low and outside on Jake Vera, who squared to bunt, but didn't offer. Vera is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. He takes a strike, not bunting that time. Count is even at 1-1. That time he did look to bunt once again. The pitch was not to his liking, but it was in the zone. He falls behind in the count, 1-2. Nice work by Hussey to get back into this at bat with 2 consecutive strikes. And there's strike 3 for out number 2. Second strikeout of the game for Lewis pitchers. First one for Kyle Hussey, and that's a big one. With runners at first and second and 1 out, he's able to set down Vera and leave it to Luke Ketchum to try to get another run in. First strikeout swinging for either side today. Breaking ball outside, 1-0 on Luke Ketchum. In fact, St. Francis pitchers don't have a K on the score sheet yet, but they have not gotten very much hard contact. 1-0. Outside, 2-0. Luke Ketchum doubled his last time up, scored a run. He walked back in the first inning. Ground ball foul past third, 2-1. Ketchum's double last inning was the only extra base hit of the game so far for the Saints. They've got 7 hits in total, but they've all been singles, except for Ketchum's 2-bagger that was part of the 3-run scoring rally. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Hussey was struggling. 3 of the first 4 batters reached base against him, but after that mound visit, he has settled in nicely. He struck out Vera. Now it's 2-2 on Luke Ketchum. And he misses in the dirt, ball 3. Well, Ketchum's been awfully good this year, but for as good as he's been, I think Kyle Hussey would much rather attack him than have to face Eric Maffey with the bases loaded. So Ketchum can expect to be challenged here. He swings and floats it into shallow center. Alt takes a step in and makes the catch. The inning is over. 1 run does score. Saints leave a couple more on base, but they take the lead for the first time today. After 4, it's St. Francis 4, Lewis 3. 4 innings down, 5 to go, and for the first time today, Lewis comes to the bat trailing. They scored 2 runs, in fact, just 2 batters into the game. First pitch from Mahalik this inning misses outside for ball 1 on Kane Hedrick. First 2 hitters up in the first inning, double home run. Looked like they were on their way to a Lewis route. It hasn't turned out that way. Ball outside, 2-0. Since then, the Flyers have not managed another hit. They've had 3 base runners thanks to an error and 2 walks. There's a sharp grounder left side and through for a hit. So there's their first hit since the first inning. It comes from their number 9 batter, Kane Hedrick. The leadoff man reaches for the 3rd time today. Snaps a string of 9 straight Flyers retired. And it brings Michael Alt to the plate, top of the order. Alt has had 2 at-bats today. They've both been effective, a double and a run scored in the first. In the second inning, he brought home his first RBI of the season on a sacrifice fly. A bunt third base side picked up by Lasota. He throws to first base. That's in time. It's a sacrifice for Michael Alt. The tying run is in scoring position. 1 away, and it brings up Thomas Fox. Good bunt from Alt. Not good enough to get him on base, but good enough to move the runner ahead. And now the man with the only home run in today's game hits for the 3rd time. Fox is 1 for 2. He lined out to the shortstop his last time up. Mahalik's first pitch to Fox misses for ball 1. First meeting between these two today, pitcher and batter. Both of Fox's previous appearances came against the Fighting Saints starting pitcher Quinn McGuire. He went 2 innings, allowed all 3 runs. Sean Mahalik's been good since coming in. 1-0. Upstairs, ball 2. Mahalik set down the side in order in both the 3rd and 4th innings. He did so on just 18 total pitches. He's been working quickly. He's been getting swings early in the count, but he has been struggling to get it in the zone consistently here in the 5th. Pickoff throw to second, not in time. 4 of the first 6 pitches have missed the strike zone here in his 3rd inning of work. There is some light action down in the Fighting Saints bullpen. Both teams have been stretching their bullpens a little bit, using as many different arms as possible. We've already seen 5 total pitchers as that misses low and in. 3-0 on Fox. Flyers have already used 3, and I think Kyle Hussey's day is most likely done after his 1 inning of work. There's a right-hander warming up in the bullpen right now for Lewis. Mahalik is the 2nd man on the mound today for St. Francis. He throws strike 1 on Fox. As I mentioned, there's some stretching going on down the right field line, so this is probably Mahalik's last inning. 3-1. Swing and a miss. 3-2. No strikeouts yet today for St. Francis, either McGuire or Mahalik. This is just the 3rd batter to see a 2-strike count against Sean Mahalik. It's a full count. Long look back to second base. Now the payoff pitch. Hit in the air on the infield right side. Now backing into shallow right is John McGuire. Second baseman makes the grab. 2 down. And the runner has to stay put. Kane Hedrick still at second base. It's up to Jack Blazevich to try to get him in, the number 3 hitter. Blazevich is 0 for 2. He has flown to center and popped out to the shortstop. St. Francis just took the lead with 4 unanswered runs over the last 2 innings. They don't want to give it right back to Lewis. This is a big at-bat trying to keep this runner at second base. Strike 1 over the outside corner. So Mahalik's back on track after falling behind Thomas Fox 3-0, 4 consecutive strikes for the junior righty. His next pitch bounces in and gets away from Jake Lasota. So it's 1-1 on Blazevich, and Kane Hedrick is able to advance 90 feet. He's at third base. It's become just a little bit more nerve-wracking for Sean Mahalik. We're still relatively early in this game, right around the halfway point. But again, you just took the lead. You don't want to give it right back. Ball inside, 2-1. This would be big for Lewis, who didn't have a hit since the second batter of the game, and now is knocking at the door of scoring again. High fly ball deep down the left field line, but too far wide to the left and out of play. It's 2-2. Flyers got their third run of the game in the second inning without the benefit of a hit. 2 walks and a sacrifice fly led to that one. They do have a hit here in the fifth. Kane Hedrick hit a leadoff single. There's a chopper to the third baseman. Off the glove of Carrillo, and a run comes in to score. Would have ended the inning had he made the play cleanly, but it kicks off his glove. Hedrick crosses home plate. Blazevich is safe at first base, and the inning continues. So no RBI for Blazevich on the air. But the run counts just the same, and it's 4-all now. Strike one on Kevin Barry. Barry's the first baseman. He's 0 for 2. He's popped out and grounded out. Ball outside, 1-1. Runner at first base, 2 outs. Throw to first is not in time to get Blazevich. Barry is the 5th batter to come to the plate this inning. Downstairs on the 1-1 offering. 2 balls and a strike now. Mahalik far and away having his most difficult inning here after 2 clean frames, went 1-2-3 in both the third and the fourth. He's had to deal with a lot of pressure here in the 5th inning. 1 run is in. It was unearned. Strike over the inside corner, 2-2. If anybody else scores this inning, it'll be unearned as well, thanks to the 2-out error that kept the inning alive. However, Mahalik doesn't want to think that way. Whether earned or unearned right now is not important. He's trying to keep this game tied. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Ground ball right side. McGuire to his left, to his knee. The ball kicks off of his glove and out into right field. So the inning continues as Blazevich advances all the way to third base. Barry is safe at first, and they're at the corners with 2 down for Chris McDevitt. Back-to-back 2-out errors on the Fighting Saints. One on the third baseman, Carrillo, and this one now on the second baseman, McGuire. This was a little bit more of a difficult play. He did have to take a few steps over to his left and drop down to his knee to try to pull that ball in. Still, it hit off his glove, and right here on artificial turf, you're not going to get any tough bounces. Just misplayed that time by McGuire. There have been 3 errors in the game committed by St. Francis. All of them have come with 2 outs in the inning to extend an inning. And so far in at least one case, it's led to a run scoring. If any more runs score here in the 5th inning, they can be attributed to errors as well. Chris McDevitt reached on a dropped fly ball back in the 1st inning. That was the first error of the game. Last time up, he flew out to left field. He's 0 for 2 officially. Strike over the inside corner, 0-1. Mahalik's done a good job getting ahead of hitters with 2 outs. He's gotten ahead of 3 straight batters now. Popped foul and out of play to the left. 0-2. 4 runs on just 3 hits for Lewis so far today. No errors. For St. Francis, 4-7-3. Saints have made a lot of errors, not only in the field, but on the base paths that have contributed to them not having the lead despite nearly, or more than I should say, more than doubling up the Flyers in total hits. Ball inside, 1-2. Each team has drawn 2 walks. Soft liner into center field. This will give Lewis the lead once again as it drops in for a base hit for McDevitt. Blazevich crosses the plate, and Barry stops at second base. 3 consecutive 2-out base runners for the Flyers, and they lead 5-4. No sooner had St. Francis taken the lead than Lewis just pops right back to it. And they are now ahead 5-4, thanks to 2 singles and 2 errors this inning. Of course, both runs are unearned, but the RBI counts for McDevitt, his first of the season. Foul ball on the first pitch to Jason Kroll, strike 1. Kroll is 0 for 2. He's flown out and grounded out. Sean Mihalik's in his 3rd inning of work. He faced just 6 batters total the first 2 innings. And here in his 3rd, this is the 7th man to hit. 0-1. Grounded to 3rd. That's a foul ball. Strike 2. So for the 4th time this inning, Mihalik is 1 strike away from ending it. The last 3 batters all reached. 1 on an error by the 3rd baseman, 1 on an error by the 2nd baseman, and 1 on a single to center field. Pickoff throw to second, not in time. Still 0-2 on Jason Kroll, the catcher. Weak roller to the right side. McGuire has a long way to go. He gets to the ball, throws to first just in time, and the inning is over. Tough play for McGuire, who was covering second base. He had a long way to move to his left, but he was able to pull it in enough time to retire the side. 2-run score on 2 hits and 2 costly errors. We're at the halfway point of this game. Lewis leads St. Francis 5-4. Bottom of the fifth inning, and the Fighting Saints have some work to do. They trailed 3-0, came back and scored 4 unanswered runs. But after taking a 4-3 lead in the bottom of the fourth, they gave that lead right back, committing a couple of 2-out errors that led to Lewis scoring 2 runs in the top of the fifth. So it's a 5-4 Flyers lead as the first pitch to Eric Maffey clips the outside corner for strike one. New pitcher for Lewis, it is Nick Heisman, the 4th pitcher today. Huisman. Heisman, the tall right-hander, sets, and Maffey pops it off to the right side, foul, strike 2. Heisman, 6'7" tall, a senior from Westmont, Illinois. He follows Kyle Hussey, who gave up a run in the bottom of the fourth, but is currently in line for the win. The 0-2 pitch. Ball low and outside, 1-2 on Maffey. The line on Hussey, 1 inning pitched. 1 run allowed, 2 hits. No walks, but he did hit a batter. And 1 strikeout. We've seen just 2 total strikeouts in this game. 1-2. Swing and a miss. It gets away from Kroll, but he recovers and throws down to first. Maffey is out number 1. 2-3 on the putout after strike 3 on the swing from Maffey. 3rd strikeout of the game. Nobody's got more than 1 of them. Now Heisman has 1. The starter Dalton Crowder had 1. And Kyle Hussey had 1 as well. Colin Amsden pitched the 2nd and 3rd innings of this game. He didn't pick up any strikeouts. Neither has anybody for St. Francis. Strike over the inside corner. 0-1 on Jake Lasota. Lasota's 1 for 2 today. Struck out looking in the 1st inning. Drove 1 in on an RBI single in the 3rd. Ball up and in. 1-1 the count on Lasota. That's too tall for Lasota. 2 balls and 1 strike, 1 out, and nobody on. It's been a streaky game for St. Francis. They did not have a hit the first time through the batting order. They went 7 for 8 the second time through the batting order. First 3 men have all been retired now the 3rd time through. Lasota takes high, 3-1. Jake Lasota is trying to start another positive stretch. He's got a hitter's count. Heisman steps onto the rubber. Stares in at Jason Kroll and gets the sign for the 3-ball, 1-strike offering. Ball 4 outside. First walk issued by Lewis since the 1st inning. It's the 3rd of the game to go along with 1 hit batter. And there's a man aboard with 1 out. The tying run is aboard as John McGuire steps in. McGuire is 1 for 2. An RBI single last time to the plate. He was thrown out trying to get to second base. He takes inside 1-0. And in the process became the 2nd Fighting Saint to be thrown out on the base paths in that 3rd inning, which at the time, I don't want to say it didn't seem like a big deal. It's always a big deal when you get 2 guys thrown out running the bases, but you didn't know how big it was going to turn out to be. Ball outside 2-0. Here in the bottom of the 5th, the fact that they trail by 1 and they really seem to have Colin Amsden on the ropes at that time makes it a little bit more concerning for them that they weren't able to get more than the 3 runs they scored. Throw to first base. Lasota wasn't really even leading off over there, so he got easily back. 2 balls, no strikes. Heisman glances over his front shoulder and now readies for the next pitch. Popped up right center field. That's playable for Bilecki. The right fielder makes the grab. 2 outs. Jake Lasota heads back to first base on the play. And it'll be up to Brian Hidalgo if the Saints are to score here in the 5th.
Shortstop, number 34, Brian Hidalgo.
Brian Hidalgo is 0 for 1. He flew to center field in the 2nd inning. He led off the 4th by getting hit on the arm. It was eventually brought around to score on a Josh Kernbauer single. Throw to first base to check on Lasota. He's not moving. First pitch to Hidalgo. Ball 1 outside. First of 2 meetings this year between St. Francis and Lewis. Both obviously non-conference games, non-divisional games. Lewis comes in from NCAA Division II. That ball hit well into right center field. Long run, Michael Alt, and it's over his head. It finds the base of the wall on 1 hop. Jake Lasota rounds third base. He will score without a throw. And we're tied once again. A 2-out RBI double for Brian Hidalgo makes it 5-5. That ball was crushed by Hidalgo into right center field. It's his 3rd extra base hit this year. First hit of the ball game. RBI number 7 this season for Hidalgo. And we're tied yet again. It's been a back and forth game. Lewis led 3-0. St. Francis came back. It was 4-3. Lewis made it a 5-4 game. And now it's 5-5 again. Can we get into the lead change right here? It's up to Hector Carrillo, who takes strike 1. He's 0 for 2 today with a ground out and a fly out. He's the only Fighting Saint not to have reached base yet in today's game. He takes a strike. It's 0-2. In fact, he's the only Saint not to have reached base just in that second rotation through the batting order. They went 7 for 8 with a hit by pitch. Nothing in 2. Sharp liner up the middle, a base hit. This will score Brian Hidalgo, and it will give St. Francis the lead back. Carrillo heads to second, and he makes it in there safely after the ball was bobbled out in right center by Michael Alt. I believe that'll go as an error on Alt. An RBI single for Carrillo, and Hidalgo crosses the plate to make it 6-5 St. Francis. The lead just keeps changing hands here. For Hector Carrillo, the 4th RBI this year. And he pulls that batting average back up to 600. He's 6 for 10 now on the season. Here's Josh Kernbauer. Kernbauer takes ball 1. Two-out rally here for the Fighting Saints. They had a runner at first with 2 outs. They've been able to turn that into 2 runs and a man at second. Still 2 outs. Ball outside on Kernbauer. Last time up there, Josh Kernbauer had a man at second base, and he singled him straight home. So he's been in this spot before. He's got 1 RBI today. Count is 2-0. Strike 1. Next pitch from Heisman misses the outside corner, 3-1. Max Montgomery waits in the on-deck circle. We've seen an offensive explosion here in the middle innings. St. Francis scored 3 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, and now 2 in the 5th. Lewis scored 2 in the 5th as well. Every inning of this game has seen at least one team score. This is the first time that both teams have scored in the same inning. Ball 4, Kernbauer's aboard. Third straight 2-out base runner. Both pitchers right now are having the same problem, just getting that third out. We got a mound visit here from the Lewis infield. Right back to where we started this inning. St. Francis led by 1 run. Lewis seemed to recapture control of this game with 2 in the top of the frame, but Saints got him right back. Being on the mound is complete. Max Montgomery stands in. Montgomery reached on a softly hit base hit in the 4th inning. Actually, it was not softly hit. It was a hard hit. Ground ball in the 4th inning, but it was an infield single. He grounded out back in the 3rd. He's 1 for 2. Ball 1 outside. Nine hits now in the game for St. Francis. They've had 4 base runners this inning, a single, a double, and 2 walks. 5 free passes given out by Lewis pitchers today. There's a breaking ball in there for strike 1. Montgomery is the 7th man to bat in the bottom of the 5th. One ball, 1 strike, 2 on, 2 out. Throw back to second base. Carrillo easily back in. Five runs, 4 hits, 1 error for Lewis. 6-9-3 for St. Francis. Soft liner to right. That sinks in for a base hit as well. Carrillo is being waved around third base. The throw comes in from right, and he's safe. Close play at the plate, but he beats the tag, and it's 7-5 St. Francis. George Bilecki made a good throw to the relay man, and Kevin Barry's toss to the plate was on target, but just a hair late. An RBI single for Max Montgomery. 4 consecutive 2-out base runners, 3 hits plus a walk. Josh Kernbauer made it to second base on the play. And the biggest lead of the game now for the Fighting Saints. 7-5. Jake Vera, the 8th batter of the inning, brings us back to the top of the order as he flies it into left field. This is routine for Kane Hedrick. He backs up and ends the inning. But what an inning it was for St. Francis. They add 3 runs on 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 error. They leave 2. We'll head to the 6th inning. St. Francis on top of Lewis, 7-5. Top of the 6th inning. St. Francis has scored in 3 straight frames, putting up crooked numbers in 2 of those 3. So they've got a 7-5 lead as we move into the back stages of the game. Bottom of the order due up for Lewis against a new St. Francis pitcher. Freshman right-hander Cody Nold fires outside for ball 1. First pitch from Nold, who's appearing for the 2nd time this year. His first outing saw him last 3 innings. He allowed 3 runs on 5 hits. Strike at the knees, 1-1. 1 walk, 1 strikeout for Nold his first time out. Trying to protect a close lead here in the top of the 6th inning. Lewis has led this one twice. Couldn't hold on to that advantage either time. Ball outside, 2-1. Tony Fleischauer is 0 for 1. He lined out to center field his last time up. Walked and scored back in the 2nd inning. He grounds this foul to the right side. It's 2-2. The lights are on as we're past 4 o'clock here in the Central Time Zone. Still a little over an hour away from the official sunset, but the sun hasn't really been a factor here for quite a while. Ball outside, full count. The sun was out a little bit at first pitch, but it disappeared behind the clouds very shortly after that, and it's been an overcast afternoon ever since. Payoff pitch from Nold. Fleischauer takes strike 3. First strikeout of the game for St. Francis pitchers. Nold is the 3rd of the game for the Fighting Saints, and he puts Fleischauer down looking to start off the frame. That brings up the number 8 hitter, George Bielecki. With 1 out and nobody on, Bielecki is 0 for 1 with a fly out on a walk. He swings through strike 1. Sean Mahalik pitched 3 innings for the Fighting Saints today. He was out there from the 3rd through the 5th. He was effective. No strikeouts for him, but no walks. He allowed 2 hits, 2 runs. They were both unearned. Ball outside, 1-1. That's off the outside corner. 2 balls and 1 strike on Bielecki. Kane Hedrick is in the on-deck circle. St. Francis has out-hit Lewis today 10-4. Lewis has stayed in the game thanks to the 3rd column up on the scoreboard, 3 errors to 1. High fly ball out to deep right field. That backs Montgomery all the way up to the wall. He leaps at the wall and he can't pull it in. It's a home run for George Bielecki. 2nd long ball of the game for the Flyers. They're right back in this thing. As he crosses the plate, it's now a 7-6 score. No lead is safe in this one. And in a game in which both managers are testing out as many pitchers as possible. I guess it's not surprising that you've seen a lot of offense facing pitchers who either maybe are still settling into game action as Hedrick pops it up, foul to the right side. It's playable, and Eric Maffey makes the play. 2 outs. It's a nice bounce back from the home run. In fact, twice today Lewis has homered, and both times the next batter was retired on the first pitch. You get a lot of pitching staffs that either aren't deep or their depth is not going to be witnessed through the first guys out of the pen in the early innings. Michael Alt takes ball 1 outside. So the only pitchers we've seen today, well, the only pitcher, singular, that we've seen today who hasn't given up a run is Dalton Crowder, the starter for Lewis, who went 1 inning way back in the bottom of the 1st and didn't give up anything. Strike called. It's 1-2. Since then, we've seen 3 more pitchers for Lewis and 3 total for St. Francis, and all 6 of them have given up at least 1 run each. Granted, in the case of Sean Mahalik, he went 3 innings, and both runs he allowed were unearned, but the Flyers still were able to score off of him. The 1-2. Just off the outside corner. Nold hit his spot there. Lesotho was positioned just off the edge. He got it where he wanted it, but he didn't get the call. 2 outs, nobody on. 2-2 on Alt. He takes a ball low and in. The count goes full. Alt is officially 1 for 1 today, so he's had a perfect day. He doubled and scored back in the first. Since then, he's got a sacrifice fly and a sacrifice bunt. 1 RBI. And he takes ball 4. So 4 trips through the batting order. Alt still only has 1 official at bat. But he's had pretty close to a perfect offensive game. He's aboard with 2 down in front of Thomas Fox.
Second baseman, number 4, Thomas Fox.
Fox homered in the first inning. Those are the first 2 runs of the game. Since then, he's kept it on the infield with a line out and a pop-up. He takes strike 1. Top of the 6th inning, but this game, even though it's starting to get late, seems like it could have a lot of twists and turns left in it. Strike called, 0-2. We've seen 11 half innings today, and at least 1 run has scored in 7 of those 11. In every inning out of the 6 that we've had, one team or the other at least has scored. There's not been a scoreless frame top and bottom yet in this game. The 0-2 with the runner on the move. Grounded up the middle. McGuire, the second baseman, fields it to the left of second base and throws over to first to end the inning. 1 run on the solo homer for George Bielecki, but the Flyers leave another man at first base. And as we head to the bottom of the 6th, they still trail the Fighting Saints. It's a 7-6 ball game. Sixth inning. 5th pitcher of the game for Lewis as Jackson Brown enters to try to keep this score where it is. 7-6. St. Francis on top of Lewis. Jackson Brown is a senior transfer from Madison College, originally from Wisconsin. His first pitch is taken by Luke Ketchum for ball 1. Ketchum, Maffey, and Lesotho, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up for this red-hot St. Francis offense. And Ketchum takes a ball low and in. It's 2-0. Luke Ketchum's been retired just once today. He's 1 for 2 with a double, a walk, a run scored. Flew out his last time up. Brown's 2-0 offering. Swung on and lifted into shallow center. Alt comes in into right center and makes the grab. One away. Leadoff man is set down for the 5th time in 6 innings today. That brings Eric Maffey to the dish. Maffey was retired to lead off the 5th inning. Struck out swinging against Nick Heisman. Heisman pitched 1 inning today and allowed 3 runs. First pitch to Maffey misses below the knees, 1-0. All 3 of his runs were earned. He gave up 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out just Maffey, who now faces a 1-1 count. Eric Maffey also has a walk and an RBI single today. He flies this into left center field shallow. Alt comes on and makes the catch. 2 straight flyouts to center. And now Brown is 1 out away from a 1-2-3 inning. Been only 1 of those so far today for Lewis pitchers. There have been only 2 scoreless innings, the first and the second. Since then, Fighting Saints offense has dominated. 7 runs in the last 3 innings on 10 hits. Jake Lasota takes strike 1. That's pinged foul off to the right side. 0-2. And Brown is 1 strike away from retiring the 6th inning. Jake Lasota's 1 for 2 with a single, a walk, an RBI, 2 runs scored. He's had a very productive day since striking out in the first. Popped up into shallow left. Kane Hedrick tracks it in and makes the catch. It's a quick 1-2-3, bottom of the 6th. For the first time since the 2nd inning, the Fighting Saints are held off the board. We've played 6 with 3 to go. It's 7-6, St. Francis. Heart of the order due up for Lewis in the top of the 7th inning, so they've got a chance to make a run at this St. Francis lead. 7-6 is our score as Jack Blazevich stands in for the 4th time today. Takes ball 1 high from Cody Nold. Nold is in his 2nd inning of work. He was pretty sharp in the first, though he did give up a solo home run. There's a 1-hopper to the shortstop. Gloved on that bounce by Hidalgo, and his throw to first is in time. Blazevich is quickly retired. 1 away in the 7th. Nold struck out 1 batter and also walked 1 in the 6th. Now an inning and a third with 1 run allowed for Nold. He is the 3rd pitcher of the game rather, for St. Francis. Quinn McGuire went 2. Sean Mahalik went 3. Nold plunks Barry on his first pitch. So Kevin Barry takes first base, second time he's reached today. Also found his way to first base via an error in the 5th inning. So he's hitless in the game, but has now been on twice, and he's been hit. So he's hitless from a positive standpoint, but I don't know, some way you could turn that around to indicate that he was hit by a pitch just now. Strike over the outside corner. 0-1 on Chris McDevitt. McDevitt has likewise been on base twice today, an RBI single last time around. He also reached on an error. St. Francis has committed 3 errors today. They've led to 2 runs scoring. Strike called 0-2. Flyers have just 1 error on their side, which did not lead to any runs. It's been an interesting game. Runs galore consistently throughout this one. Ball up and away, 1-2. Lewis scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth. For St. Francis, 3 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth. So there's not been a scoreless inning yet in today's game. Ball 2, the count is even. One on, one out. McDevitt fell behind 0-2, but he's worked his way back into the at-bat. Nold tries to put him away, and he just misses. McDevitt has been very choosy in this at-bat. He's taken a couple of borderline pitches with 2 strikes, but it's worked out in his favor. Nold isn't getting the calls that he's looking for, and the count's gone full. Right-hander sets for the payoff pitch. Popped up foul, left side. Vera chases it across the white line and runs out of room. McDevitt will see a 7th pitch. Jason Kroll is on deck. He'll bat here in the 7th inning, barring a double play. Pitching out of the stretch. Nold is set. Another 3-2. Misses for ball 4. So that's 3 free base runners in an inning and a third given up by Nold. He walks McDevitt after initially starting him off with an 0-2 count. Tying run is in scoring position. The go-ahead run is on base for Lewis. They've still got 8 outs to play with, so a long way to go in this game as Jason Kroll steps in with a chance to give his team the lead. Kroll is 0 for 3. He's flown out and grounded out twice. He's the only player in Lewis's lineup not to have reached base yet today. In fact, he's the only player in the game not to have reached base. So maybe that's a little extra incentive for him. We'll see. Ball 1, the call. 5 of the last 6 have missed from Nold after starting McDevitt out 0-2. 7 out of 11 pitches total have been balls this inning. That's not one, though. It's fouled back. Strike 1.
Your attention now, pinch hitting for Lewis, number 12, Angelo Cantello.
They just announced a pinch hitter. I didn't notice it, so Kroll will remain the only man not to have reached base in today's game. This is Angelo Cantello batting. Hard one, hopper to third, knocked down by Carrillo. He steps on the bag, throws across. That's a double play, and the inning is over. Tough break for Angelo Cantello. A hard hit ball, but it turns into an inning ender for Lewis, who squanders a walk and a hit batter, and they leave one. Stretch time here in Joliet. Our score is St. Francis 7, Lewis 6. Tight ball game here as we move into the bottom of the 7th inning. St. Francis will look for some insurance with John McGuire, Brian Hidalgo, and Hector Carrillo coming up to bat against Jackson Brown in his 2nd inning of work. Brown's first pitch is chopped on the ground down the third base line and just foul. Strike 1 on McGuire. McGuire's 1 for 3 today with an RBI single. He's also grounded out and flown out. Brown is in his 2nd inning of work. Set the Saints down in order in the 6th. 3 consecutive flyouts. You got the 2, 3, and 4 batters. He'll try to do the same thing here with numbers 5, 6, and 7 in the 7th inning. Ball 1. Cody Nold got out of the top of the 7th inning with a critical double play on a hard hit ball. Carrillo knocked it down on one hop, stepped on the bag, and then threw across the diamond. McGuire checks his swing and takes ball 2. Seems like every time St. Francis gets ahead in this game, Lewis makes a run right back at him as McGuire fouls one off. 2-2. So that makes that top of the 7th even bigger. And that St. Francis had the 1-run lead. They were able to maintain that 1-run lead for at least another inning. Check swing. That's in the dirt. Full count. For as productive as St. Francis's offense has been today, they haven't done much to get the leadoff man on base, and it looks like he'll be retired again. This ball's bounced over to third base. Tony Fleischauer throws out John McGuire. 5 straight Saints have been retired, and the leadoff man has now been set down 6 times in 7 innings. Remember that 5th inning rally that gave the Saints the lead they currently have. They were down 5-4. They scored 3 runs, all with 2 outs. It was 2 outs, a runner at first, and then the next 4 guys in a row all got on base to turn it into a 3-run inning. There's a weak grounder hit by Brian Hidalgo over to the first baseman. Kevin Berry flips it to the pitcher covering the bag. 2 down. Five up, 5 down against Brown, who has been, at least so far today, far and away the Flyers' best pitcher. He is the 5th of the game. Crowder went 1, Emsden 2, Hussey 1, Heisman 1. The 2nd inning for Jackson Brown. His first pitch to Hector Carrillo misses low for ball 1. Tapped foul. That evens the count. Hector Carrillo is 1 for 3. Had a huge RBI single back in the 5th inning. That gave the Fighting Saints the lead at 6-5. They've maintained that lead. It's now 7-6. Ball low and in, 2-1. Brown's trying to make his way through a 2nd consecutive scoreless inning. Nobody's done that in this game. Not for Lewis, anyway. Ball 3. 3-1. The only pitcher who went back-to-back scoreless innings for either side was Sean Mahalik, who did not escape unscathed. He did give up a pair of runs in his 3rd inning on the mound, which also makes him the longest tenured pitcher in today's game. Ball 4. First base runner against Brown. It's a 2-out walk. That'll bring up Josh Kernbauer. Kernbauer, the sometimes infielder who today is the DH, has an RBI single and a walk in his 3 trips to the plate. First pitch to Kernbauer. Floated foul to the right side and out of play. Strike 1. It's a cold early season matchup here between St. Francis and Lewis, with temperatures in the mid-30s, but no precipitation as of yet. There is some snow in the forecast for later tonight. Strike called 0-2. But in all likelihood, that won't come until after this game is over. And the Saints will head back on the road for more non-conference action. As of now, they're not scheduled to be home again for nearly another month. We'll see if it works out that way. 2 outs, a runner at first, 0-2 count. Ball 1 rather. I keep trying to add a ball to Kernbauer's at bat. The infielders wanted to add a strike there. All 4 infielders took a full step towards the Lewis dugout after that pitch, but they did not get the call. So it's 1-2 on Kernbauer. Again, Brown tries to put him away. Soft liner through the right side of the infield. A base hit for Kernbauer, his second of the game. He's on base for the 3rd time today. And the inning persists. Hector Carrillo up to second base. 2 on, 2 out for Max Montgomery.
Right fielder number 1, Max Montgomery.
Max Montgomery is 2 for 3 today. Couple of singles, one of them was an RBI. And now he's got a chance to add a little insurance to the St. Francis lead. Runner at second base with 2 outs, and the first pitch to Montgomery misses low and away. Ball 1. Brown hasn't been able to pitch his way out of this inning. 2 quick outs, but now he's in trouble. Ball low, 2-0. After back-to-back groundouts started this frame, 2 quick outs. We've seen a walk, a single, and now a 2-0 count on Montgomery. Vera's on deck. Ground ball off the pitcher's mound. It deflects over to second base. The throw to first is in time. Fox is able to retire Montgomery. Nice job by Thomas Fox to stick with that ball after a weird hop off the mound. And the Saints don't score. Lewis escapes the 7th inning. And for the first time today, we have a scoreless inning. We'll go to the 8th. St. Francis 7, Lewis 6. Bottom of the order for Lewis in the top of the 8th inning. They trail by just a run. And Cody Nold is on the mound for his 3rd inning of work. Foul ball off the bat of Tony Fleischauer, just barely foul. Down the first base line, strike 1. It was hovering over the line all the way out to first base, and before it got to the bag, it kicked just wide. And a break for the Fighting Saints. That would have been extra bases for Fleischauer. Would have put the tying run in scoring position with nobody out. Instead, no balls, 1 strike the count. Nold goes back to the windup and misses the outside corner. 1-1. Fleischauer's 0 for 2 today with a strikeout and a hard liner to center. He walked and scored back in the 2nd inning. This is a high fly into shallow center. Luke Ketchum comes in, and true to his name, he makes the catch. 1 away. Third inning for Cody Nold. He has set down the leadoff batter all 3 times. He's given up just 1 run, but this is the guy who scored it off of him. George Bielecki hit a solo homer off of Nold back in the 6th inning, and now he gets his second chance against Nold, his 4th chance of the game. He's 1 for 2 with a walk to go along with that homer. He's also flown out. Tying run in the batter's box here. St. Francis 5 outs away from the win. Ball 1 outside. These two teams are scheduled to meet up again in about a week and a half up in Romeoville at the home of Lewis. Strike called, 1-1. Last year they played both of their games on this field. St. Francis won them both on back-to-back days. 1-1. Ball 2. Fighting Saints finished last season with a record of 30-27. They were very good in conference season. Non-conference record was not where they'd like it to be. I talked about it earlier. It's always tough as a Midwest team going on those long trips early in the seaseason. Ball high, 3-1. You usually can't count on playing games here. I think a lot of times you schedule games like this with the thought that there's going to be a good chance it doesn't get played, whether it's because of snow or just freezing temperatures. There's ball 4 outside. Tying run is on base. 4th free pass given out by Nold in his 2 1/3 innings. And the tying run is aboard with 1 out for Kane Hedrick. Hedrick is 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. It's nail-biting time now for the Fighting Saints, trying to keep this 1-run lead. Now in the 8th inning. Popped up foul to the right side. Not a play by Hedrick. 0-1. One thing is you just can't afford the walks. Now, Nold had given up the homer to Bielecki the last time he faced him. And was nibbling a little bit, I think, in that at-bat. Probably had that long ball still in the back of his mind as he faced him for a second time. It's a critical runner, and Nold knows it, trying to keep him close at first base with a pickoff attempt. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Hedrick. That's looped foul to the right side. 0-2. Back to the top of the order after Hedrick. Just another reason why this has become such a big at-bat. You don't want to let the tying run in scoring position. You don't want to let the winning run on base. You don't want to have to face the top of the order. Ground ball to the left side. Backhanded stop by Hidalgo. He does not make a throw. It's an infield hit. I was going to say you don't want to face the top of the order with guys on base, but that's exactly what we're going to see right here. An infield single for Kane Hedrick. That ball on the left side of the infield, Hector Carrillo let it go. I don't know if he would have had a good play if he had grabbed it. It would have been a tough one. But he, at the very last second, backed off. By the time the ball reached Brian Hidalgo deep in the hole, there was no chance to get Hedrick at first base. So he elected to pocket it. And now it's Michael Alt with runners at first and second. He takes strike 1. Just one official at bat today for Alt, but he's had a productive game. Ball upstairs, 1-1. Doubled and scored in the first. Drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the second. Dropped down a sacrifice bunt in the 5th inning. And he walked in the 6th. Biggest at bat of the game here. Tying run at second base. The go-ahead run is at first. 1-1. Chopper to third, to shortstop rather. Hidalgo throws to first base. It's not in time. Back-to-back infield hits to the shortstop have loaded the bases with only 1 out. And Thomas Fox coming up. Tying run now is just 90 feet away. That's the bad news for St. Francis. The good news is Nold has been getting what he's been looking for, ground balls. He would like a ground ball right here. The last 2 hitters have each hit them, but they've hit them too softly. By the time that ball got back to Hidalgo, he had no play at first base. First pitch to Fox. Taken for strike one. Thomas Fox is 1 for 4. Hit a big 2-run homer back in the first inning. Since then, he's lined out, popped out, and grounded out. Chance to play hero this time around. Pitch in the dirt. Jake Lasota plays hero, at least for the moment, saving a run by keeping that ball in front of him. It's 1-1. Bilecki walked. Hedrick and Alt each hit infield singles. And the bases are loaded. So nobody's hit it out of the infield yet this inning. This is hit out of the infield on a line to center field. Ketchum makes the grab for the second out. But Bilecki tags and scores from third base, and we're all tied yet again, 7-all. Thomas Fox does the job with a sacrifice fly, and the walk comes back to haunt Nold. So he gives up his second run in 2 2/3 innings. And there are 2 men on base with 2 outs for Jack Blazevich. So the first ball of the inning that was hit out of the infield is a fly out that turns into a sac fly from Thomas Fox, his 3rd RBI of the game. Sharp grounder just past third base and foul from Blazevich, strike one. Jack Blazevich is 0 for 4. He reached on an error and scored back in the 5th inning. It was maybe the biggest inning of the game. St. Francis had scored 4 unanswered runs. They had taken the lead. And then with 2 outs, back-to-back errors led to Lewis reclaiming the lead, thanks to a couple of unearned runs. Ball in the dirt, 1-1. There's a right-hander throwing in the St. Francis bullpen. Nold has not had a clean inning yet. He's allowed 7 base runners through 2 2/3 frames, so it has not been a great showing for him, but he's only allowed 2 runs. Line drive into left field. This may be a couple more right here, or at least one, as Blazevich picks up a base hit. Hedrick crosses the plate. It's an RBI single, and Lewis is back in front. They lead it 8-7. So both teams now have blown 2 leads. Michael Alt advances to second base on the Blazevich single. Hedrick scores. 3rd hit of the inning, 2nd run, and that'll do it for Cody Nold. Nold goes 2 2/3 innings, allows 7 base runners, and so far 3 runs. I'll give you his full stat line in just a moment. We'll get a new pitcher in here. I'll tell you about him in just a few moments. 8-7, Lewis has the lead in the top of the 8th. 8-7, Lewis leads now in the top of the 8th inning. New pitcher for the Fighting Saints is Zach Blazkowicz. On for the third time. No record of 5.40 ERA in an inning and 2/3. He's allowed a run on a hit, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Came in just a little bit too late to face Zach Blazkowicz. That would have been a good matchup, Zach Blazkowicz against Jack Blazkowicz. But he does get to face Kevin Barry, and he fires a strike over the inside corner. Barry is 0 for 3. He's been hit by a pitch and reached on an error. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. The 0-1. Hit deep out to right center field. Long run back, Luke Ketchum, and it's over his head. All the way to the wall. Alt is already in. Blazkowicz is going to score as well. And Kevin Barry has a 2-run triple that has broken this game open. Lewis leads it 10-7. So Blazkowicz comes in, and on just his second pitch, Lewis greets him rather rudely. It's a big 2-run rally here for the Flyers in the 8th inning. They've scored 4 runs this inning, and they've turned a 7-6 deficit into a 10-7 lead. Here's Chris McDevitt, swing and a miss. So the final numbers are in on Cody Nold. 2 2/3 innings for him. He allowed 5 runs, all of them earned. McDevitt takes a strike. It's 0-2. 4 hits, 3 walks, and a hit batter. 1 strikeout for Nold today. The 0-2. McDevitt backs out of the way of ball 1. Chris McDevitt's been on base 3 times. A walk, a single, and error. He's got 1 RBI. Ball outside. That evens the count. From 0-2, we've gone to 2-2 here. McDevitt is the 8th hitter of this 8th inning for Lewis. Foul back off the screen. Still 2-2. Ground ball to the shortstop. That's gloved cleanly by Hidalgo, and the throw to first puts an end to the inning. But a big inning for Lewis. They score 4 runs on 4 hits, 1 walk. They leave a man at third. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 10-7, Flyers on top. Bottom 8, St. Francis has their work cut out for them with the top of the order due up here, trailing 10-7. This matches their biggest deficit of the game as Jake Vera takes ball 1 low. Facing a new pitcher for Lewis, their 6th pitcher of the game. This is left-hander Matt Piento. His second pitch is chopped to the right side. Picked up by the first baseman Barry. He flips over to the pitcher covering the bag. He got there just in time. 1 away. Leadoff man retired for the 7th time in 8 innings today. Here's Luke Ketchum. Lewis led this game 3-0. St. Francis came back and took the lead, so they've done it before. They know they can do it again, but it's a tall order here in the final 2 innings. Ketchum hits a grounder to short. Played cleanly by Blazevich. The throw to first is in time. 2 outs on just 3 pitches here in the 8th inning. St. Francis was just 5 outs away from winning this game. And then Lewis got 3 straight men on base with a walk and 2 singles. And they tied the score with a sacrifice fly. Then they added 3 more runs with 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning. Eric Maffey hits a foul ball for strike 1. Maffey is 1 for 3. He's got an RBI single and a stolen base. He's walked. But in his last 2 at-bats, he's been retired on strikes and on a flyout. 2 outs, nobody on the 0-1. Weak swing on a grounder to the right side, hugs the line and stays fair. The tag is applied for out number 3. Picked up by the pitcher Piento, and the Fighting Saints are arguing that there was no tag. But the out was called at first base. The out has been recorded, and the 8th inning has come to a close. 1 unassisted on the putout. We go to the 9th. Lewis leads 10-7. Top of the 9th, Lewis, just a few minutes ago, was down by a run and just trying to claw their way back into the game. Now they're trying to add some insurance in this 9th inning as they lead by 3, facing Zach Blazevich, whose first pitch misses outside for ball 1. To get us started in the 9th inning, Blazevich faces the 6, 7, and 8 hitters this inning. That's fouled back for a strike. 1-1. Angelo Cantalo is the batter. Came on as a pinch hitter back in the 7th inning and grounded into a double play, relieving Jason Kroll behind the plate. Ball inside, 2-1. Blazevich came on in the 8th inning, entered with 2 men on base and 2 outs, and he couldn't get out of it. He gave up a 2-run triple and then ended the inning with a ground out. So this is the 3rd batter that he's faced. It's popped up, foul ground right side. Lasota chases it, but it lands about 3 rows deep over the St. Francis dugout. And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. This game really turned around very quickly in that 8th inning. St. Francis seemed to have the momentum as Cantelo swings and misses, strike 3. Blazkowicz picks up his first strikeout, just the second strikeout of the game for St. Francis pitchers. 1 away in the 9th. The lead was only 1 run for St. Francis, but they had been out hitting Lewis 11-6. They just seemed to be playing a better game. And then all of a sudden, Flyers got hot in the top of the 8th inning. And the bottom of the 8th went by in the blink of an eye as Fleischauer takes strike 1. 3 quick outs recorded by the 6th pitcher of the game for Lewis, Matt Piento. Check swing, it's a strike. 0-2 on Fleischauer. Fleischauer walked and scored back in the 2nd inning. That's the sum total of his production for today's game. This is his 5th plate appearance. First one against Blazkowicz. He pokes it past a diving third baseman into left field. Carrillo was playing in, even with 2 strikes, about a half step in front of the baseline. And that allowed Fleischauer to poke one right by him. A nice diving effort, but he couldn't quite grab it. A 1-out single, and there's a man aboard for Lewis. Here's George Bilecki. He homered back in the 6th inning. But his biggest at-bat was probably the walk in the 8th, as he was the catalyst for the game-changing 4-run rally that has Lewis in the lead. There's a coaches meeting, coaches conference right near the batter's box before we continue here. Bilecki talking things over along with Fleischauer, who came in from first base. So they discussed the situation with Michael Vusko, the head coach at Lewis. Now we're ready to go. Runner at first, 1 out. 3-run lead for the Flyers in the 9th inning. Bilecki has been on base 3 times in 4 trips to the plate. A productive day out of the 8th spot in the lineup. The single for Fleischauer is number 10 for Lewis. For a long time in this game, it was a close contest, but the Saints in the hits column were dominating. That's not the case anymore. 5 hits in the last 2 innings for Lewis. Ball outside, 1-0 on Bilecki. Well, when you throw in all the walks and errors, it's been a productive offensive day for the Flyers. 10 hits. Strike over the inside corner. It's 1-1. They've reached on errors 3 times today. 5 walks plus a hit batter. So they've had 19 total base runners. Ball high, 2-1. In addition to those 10 runs, they've left 7 men on base. St. Francis today has stranded 8. Two and 1 on Bilecki. Runner at first base, only 1 out. Throw over to first, and the runner dives back in safely. Kane Hedrick is in the on-deck circle, and then back to the top of the order. This is the 5th time through the lineup for Lewis. Blazkowicz trying to induce something on the ground here. Turn things over to his offense for the bottom of the 9th. Nearly hit him on a pitch inside. It's 3-1. Blazkowicz has been a short man out of the bullpen for St. Francis this year. Just an inning and 2/3 in 2 appearances, but nobody warming up in the bullpen here. Ryan Mahalik will try to get him through a full inning and a third in this appearance. Ball 4 outside. Sixth walk issued, 7th free pass total, including the hit batter. And they're at first and second with only 1 out for Kane Hedrick. We'll have a meeting on the mound before Hedrick stands in. The 8th inning was the turning point in this game. Lewis led 3-0. St. Francis came from behind, took the lead 4-3. Lewis fought back. 2 quick runs immediately after falling behind. And the Flyers were ahead 5-4. St. Francis responded with 3 unanswered runs to make it 7-5. Lewis got one back on a solo homer to make it 7-6, and it's at 7-6 for a while. But in the top of the 8th, that's when everything changed. Mostly with 2 outs, the Flyers mounted a big rally and reclaimed a 3-run lead. Now they're trying to put it away once and for all, and they're getting a little help as Blazkowicz has lost the strike zone. He walked by Lecky. Now it's 1-0 on Hedrick. Second pitch of the at-bat is taken inside, 2-0. So 6 of his last 7 have been outside of the zone. Two and 0, a good hitter's count here. A guy who's had a productive day already, 3-0 on a pitch outside. Now the bullpen is moving for St. Francis. Fleischauer's at second. Bilecki is at first. 3-0 on Hedrick. As Lewis looks to put the game away once and for all. Strike called, 3-1. Michael Alt has had a big game. He's in the on-deck circle. 3-1 pitch paints the inside corner. Blazkowicz has gotten himself back into it. 3-2 here. Kane Hedrick, the number 9 batter, has been on base 3 times today. He has 2 hits. He scored 2 runs. Payoff pitch. Fly ball into right field. Montgomery steps in on it. Montgomery dives and can't come up with it. It skips past him. Fleischauer around third base. Scores. Bilecki stops at third base. It's an RBI double for Hedrick. His big day continues. 3rd hit. He's got his first RBI now. It's 11-7. Still just 1 out here in the 9th inning. Seemed early on that play like Montgomery had a beat on it. He never really did. He turned on the Jets late and dove, but couldn't come up with it. And Lewis is now primed to pull away. They've scored 6 unanswered runs already. Now they're at second and third with only 1 out. Michael Alt bats for the 6th time and takes a strike. Alt has doubled, walked, singled, scored twice. He's got 1 RBI on a sacrifice fly. Officially 2 for 2 in the ball game. 2 sacrifices, a walk, and 2 hits. Outside, 1-1. Three straight batters have reached. Single, walk, double. That's foul tipped into the catcher's glove. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Alt. Thomas Fox is on deck. He's had a big game. A lot of big games. When you score 11 runs, there's a good chance that a lot of guys have put up big numbers, and that's certainly been the case. Inside, 2-2. So with 1 run in the 9th, Lewis has scored at least once now in 6 separate innings. And the 7th remains the only frame of the game in which neither team has put any runs on the board. Ground ball to short, picked up by Hidalgo. The throw comes home, and they get the out at home. 6-2 on the fielder's choice. Bilecki was going on contact there, and a relatively easy play, as much as it's ever an easy play for the shortstop to get the out at home. They do retire Bilecki. Alt is safe at first. For the first time today, Alt has an at-bat go against him. He's 2 for 3 now, but he is on base for the 4th time. Here's Thomas Fox. Fox is homered, and he's got a sacrifice fly. 1 for 3, or 1 for 4 rather, with 3 RBIs. Already a 4-run lead for Lewis. That's comfortable, but it's not insurmountable. There's another insurance run at third base. See if Fox can drive him in. Ball 1 outside. The Fighting Saints in the bottom of the 9th will have Lesotho, McGuire, and Hidalgo due up. And they'll need at least a couple more batters to come up as well if they want to have any chance at winning the game. Ball outside, 2-0. It's been a long top half of the 9th after a lightning quick bottom of the 8th. Fighting Saints were retired on just 5 pitches. So it has felt like Lewis's offense has been out there for the last hour. That ball drilled down the left field line and fair down into the corner. Another big insurance run does come in for Lewis. We'll see if they can get 2. Alt around third base. The relay throw is not in time. It's a 2-run double for Thomas Fox. He's got 5 RBIs in the game. And Lewis has a 6-run lead. They've scored 8 consecutive runs in this game. From down 7-5 to up 13-7 in just the last few innings. And that'll do it for Zach Blazkowicz. He didn't have it today, lasting 1 inning and watching 5 runs cross the plate. Not all of them charged to him, but rough day for him as he will depart. New pitcher will come in, and I'll tell you about him in just a moment. As we stand right now, 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Lewis has a big lead. St. Francis led this one 7-6 as recently as the 8th inning, but Lewis has broken it open. They're on top now 13-7 with 2 outs in the top of the 9th, a runner at second base. And Blazkowicz takes strike 1 against a new St. Francis pitcher, Ethan Fleming, the freshman, on for the 4th time in his first 3 outings. He has gone 2 2/3 innings total and allowed 4 runs on 2 hits and 3 walks. He has 2 strikeouts. His 0-1 pitch misses high and tight, 1-1. Zach Blazkowicz lasted 1 inning. He faced 8 batters, meaning the only man in the Lewis lineup he did not face was Jack Blazkowicz, which is exactly the matchup I wanted to see, but we don't get everything we want. Ball inside, 2-1. In his 1 inning, Blazkowicz allowed 4 hits and 1 walk. He allowed 2 inherited runners to score and 3 of his own. The man at second is his responsibility as well. Chopper to third base, picked up by Carrillo, who fires over to first. That is just in time to end the inning. But another 4 big runs score for Lewis as they have broken the game open. or 3-run score rather for Lewis, but they have broken the game open. We head to the bottom of the ninth. The Saints need a big rally as they try to come back in this one, trailing 13-7. Last chance for the Fighting Saints as we've reached the bottom of the ninth inning. New pitcher on the mound for Lewis, their seventh. His first pitch is a strike over the outside corner on Jake Lasota. This is senior right-hander Jake Heisman. The second Heisman we've seen in today's game. Nick Heisman threw an inning earlier today as Lasota takes ball one to even the count. Most recently, we saw Matt Piento, the senior lefty, who was pretty good in the eighth inning. Didn't have to do all that much as Lasota takes a ball, 2-1. He didn't get much of a workout today. 1 inning, 5 pitches, 3 groundouts, and that was that. Lasota hits it high and deep out to right center field. Long run, but it's playable for Michael Alt, who puts it away for out number 1. St. Francis trailed in this game 3-0 and 5-4. Both times they came back and took the lead. But like Lewis, they were not able to hold either of their leads. They were up 4-3 and 7-5, and both times the Flyers came back. Strike one called on John McGuire. Now Lewis has opened up their biggest advantage of the day. Line shot into center field. Base hit for John McGuire. His second hit today. He's 2 for 5. Hope still flickering for St. Francis. They've got 2 outs to play with. Trying to erase this 6-run deficit. And the batter is Brian Hidalgo. Hidalgo doubled deep into the right center field gap in the 5th inning. He's also been hit by a pitch in today's game. He's got an RBI, 2 runs scored. And the first pitch to Hidalgo here bounces in for ball 1. It's going to be a tough one for St. Francis as they look back on it, just because their offense had a big game, specifically in those middle innings when they scored all 7 of their runs. That ball floated into the right center field gap, and that drops in between right and center field for a hit. McGuire heads to third base. Hidalgo hustling for second. He slides in safely with his second double of the game. This is exactly what I was talking about. The offense has come up big for the Saints today. 7 runs, 13 hits, and counting. But the Lewis offense was just a little bit better, specifically in the late innings. 4 runs for them in the 8th and 3 in the 9th. Here's the third baseman, Hector Carrillo, who swings the first pitch and lines it out to right field just past the diving Thomas Fox. 3 straight hits for the Fighting Saints. It's now 13-8. Lasota comes in to score. Or McGuire, rather, comes in to score. Hidalgo moves up to third base. Single, double, single. Carrillo's got his second hit and his second RBI today. That'll bring up Josh Kernbauer after the meeting on the mound here. Well, Lewis has been using as many pitchers as they can, throwing, for the most part, a different guy out there each inning. Two different pitchers have thrown 2 innings. Colin Amsden pitched the 2nd and 3rd, and Jackson Brown pitched both the 6th and the 7th. But for the most part, it's been 1 inning, 1 pitcher. They pulled Matt Piento after his 1 inning, even though he went 1-2-3 on just 5 pitches. And Heisman had a rough go here in the 9th inning. 4 batters faced, 3 of them came up with hits. 1 run is in, and we've got a change on the mound. So I'll step aside for a moment. I'll be right back. I'll tell you about the new pitcher and get you the rest of this 9th inning. St. Francis still ticking here in the bottom of the 9th. They trail 13-8. Matt Helwig is the new Lewis University pitcher. Runners at the corners here, 1 out. Lewis still in comfortable position, needing just 2 outs to pick up this victory. But they've called on their 8th pitcher of the game. Heisman lasted just 4 batters, a third of an inning. Gave up 3 hits, and so far 1 run as Josh Kernbauer takes ball 1. Kernbauer has not been retired since the 2nd inning. He's got 2 hits and a walk to go along with a ground out. 1-0, low and outside. 2 balls and no strikes. McGuire singled and scored. Hidalgo is currently at third base. Carrillo's at first base after a double and a single respectively. Here's the 2-0 pitch in there for a strike. 2-1. Between the two teams in this game, 21 combined runs, 26 combined hits, 4 combined errors. Called strike. It's 2-2. We've seen 11 total walks, a couple of hit batters. There's been a lot going on in this game. Only 3 perfect innings all games. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3. And the Saints are down to their final out. Actually, the Saints have been set down in order 1-2-3 3 times today. St. Francis's pitchers had a couple of 1-2-3 frames as well. So there have been 5 total 1-2-3 innings, which is a lot considering every inning but one has seen at least a run score. Max Montgomery is the final hope for the Fighting Saints today. He takes ball 1 low. Montgomery is 2 for 4, a couple of singles and an RBI. He's also grounded to second base twice. One 1-0 pitch. Downstairs, 2-0. Haven't seen much sun throughout the game today, but it has set now, so the lights are in full effect at Dooley Health and Care Field. 2-0 on Montgomery, and that hits the top end of the strike zone, 2-1. Montgomery trying to keep this game alive. If he reaches base, Jake Vera will hit next. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Matt Hellwig's pumping him in there. The hard-throwing senior is one strike away from wrapping this game up and giving his team a come-from-behind 13-8 victory. 2-2 pitch. Fouled away. Montgomery just barely able to catch up with that one and keep the at-bat alive. Hellwig from the third base side of the rubber sets and deals, and he bounces it in, ball 3. Full count. The runner at first base will be able to get a little head start here. Runner at third is Hidalgo. He'll score on any base hit here. Full count pitch from Hellwig. Montgomery takes ball 4, and the game continues. A walk to load the bases with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. And we are back to the top of the order, and Jake Vera.
Left fielder, number 26, Jake Vera.
Vera has singled and scored. He is 1 for 5 in the game. In his 6th at bat, he can tighten things up considerably. So he takes a strike over the inside corner. If Vera reaches base here, Luke Ketchum would come to the plate representing the tying run. So there's still a lot that has to happen here for the Fighting Saints, but they are in distance here of making a real run. And especially because Hellwig is struggling with his command as he fires ball 1. He had fallen behind the previous 2 hitters 2-0. Came back to get Kernbauer on strikes, ended up walking Montgomery. 1-1 on Vera. Strike right down the pike there. It's 1-2. And for the second time, the Fighting Saints are down to their final strike. Strike 3 called over the outside corner. Jake Vera goes down looking. And that'll do it for the home opener for St. Francis today, and the season opener for Lewis. The Flyers pick up their first victory of the year as they take out the Fighting Saints by a final score of 13-8. A good come-from-behind victory for Lewis. They led big early, lost that lead, and came from behind and recaptured it in the later innings. We'll go over the broad strokes of scoring in this game. Lewis went ahead 2-0, just 2 batters into the game. They got a double from Michael Alt and then a 2-run homer from Thomas Fox. They made it 3-0 on Alt's sacrifice fly in the second inning. St. Francis, though, fought back. They scored 3 runs in the third inning, getting RBI hits from Maffey, Lasota, and John McGuire. And then they took their first lead of the day on a Josh Kernbauer RBI single in the 4th. That 4-3 lead didn't last long. Lewis added 2 runs in the 5th inning, getting an RBI single from Chris McDevitt to go ahead, thanks to a couple of errors with 2 outs in the top of the 5th. They were up 5-4 on St. Francis, and that's when the Saints took over again. They scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. An RBI double for Brian Hidalgo, and then Hector Carrillo and Max Montgomery each had RBI base hits. That put them ahead 7-5, and that was the lead that lasted most of the rest of the game. A solo homer for George Bilecki in the 6th inning for Lewis made it 7-6, and it remained 7-6 into the 8th inning. And that's when the Flyers took over. They tied the score on a sacrifice fly, and then they added 3 runs later in the inning. An RBI base hit with 2 outs from Jack Blazevich, and then a 2-run, 2-out triple from Kevin Barry made it 10-7. They pulled away with 3 more runs in the 9th, getting RBI hits in the process from Kane Hedrick, as well as Michael Alt picking up an RBI on a ground out. So they led it 13-7. St. Francis tried to make a game of it one more time in the ninth inning. They got 3 straight hits, including an RBI single from Hector Carrillo. They loaded the bases on the Montgomery walk. They were 1 base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate, but it didn't happen as Matt Helwig came out of the bullpen and struck out the final 2 outs of the game. So Lewis comes away with the victory 13-8. The total's 13 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error for the Flyers. 8 runs, 14 hits, 3 errors for St. Francis, who falls to 5-4 on the season with the loss. That'll do it for today's broadcast. The home opener for St. Francis today goes the way of the visitors. Until next time, it's Terry Bonadonna signing off from Joliet, Illinois. Have a good night.